I think this show I wanted to start off like, like people are on Zoom and they forget the camera's on, and then when the camera comes on, they're like, because of our intro music. So anyway, but that was planned. That wasn't by accident, in case anybody saw that. But today is Aloha Friday, and Adrian, who is our guest?
So our guest, born on Oahu, but he went over to Kauai at 3 years old and graduated from the Kauai High School, attended University of Hawaii with a major in marketing, a minor in finance, and got a certificate in culinary arts from Kapiolani College. He moved to Oahu in 1999. Currently a wealth advisor at INPAC Wealth Solutions for the past 18 years. He's been assisting individuals, families, businesses build a financial plan for their future, as well as to reach personal and family goals. Please welcome back today's guest, Kyle Shimoda.
Yeah, and this show is sponsored by Mochi.
That's my dog.
Thanks, Mochi.
Yeah.
Can't have a Zoom without a dog barking in the background. We're next to the cat. All right, so let's get to it. Kyle, you've been doing this a long time. The people we want to grab the attention of is people that own investment properties. Kyle, what do we want to share with these property owners that got these rental properties?
So I'm a wealth advisor and a fiduciary, and so I'm in the realm of securities, investments, and one of the tools I use is a Delaware statutory trust, which is a securitized investment portfolio that qualifies as a like-kind replacement property in a 1031 exchange. And I know that was a lot of information.
Yep. Let's break it down.
And I just want to clarify, this would apply to anyone that owns an investment property anywhere in the United States. And I would say, like, we even have had some foreign nationals that have inquired about this program. If we have any Canadians in the house that have purchased homes in Hawaii or investment homes, would they be able to participate in this DST?
1031.
Yep. If they can qualify for the 1031 exchange of investment property, even if they're not a U.S. citizen, however, they have a U.S. based entity like a corporation that owns the property, or they themselves have a social security number or a tax number, then they could most likely qualify for the 1031 exchange.
Okay, so let's talk about, I have this rental property. I think one of the things you find, and we find it also, is that when people, it's not like people own 50 properties, they own one or two or three, and they're not necessarily, I wouldn't say not savvy in the investment process, but, oftentimes they don't crunch the numbers and find out what their ROI is. So let's talk about, that. I think that's the first thing people are going to look at is okay, if I have a rental property, what's my return on investment or my cap? And if I were to move it to a DST, how would that compare? And what if I have a rental property, what am I looking at? What numbers am I crunching?
Yeah. So the number one reason why the top two reasons normally people get into investment property is for the appreciation, right? You buy it at one price and it's gonna be worth more in the future. Mm-hmm. And the next thing they do it for, in addition to the appreciation, is the income, right? They're expecting that they can rent it out for more than, or lease it out for more than what it's costing them to maintain, right? If they got mortgage, maintenance, property management, taxes, insurance, right? There's hopefully a positive income, net income after that, right? So those are the top two reasons: appreciation and then income. And then I would say the third reason is people might do it for the tax deductions or tax write-offs. So people are willing to even accept the loss or negative income because they're going to claim it as a loss on their taxes, reducing their earned income. So to answer your question, Tilio, is what numbers do people want to look at when analyzing, is it a good investment, is net cap rate. So they want to look at what's the net after all the expenses as a percentage, right? In my world, I look at numbers, dollar signs, and percentages all day, right? So what you do is you take what your house is worth, what it could sell for today, minus any debt on it. So mortgages, HELOCs, if there is any, right? And whatever that number is, you divide that into what your net income is after all the costs. So an example, you had $1 million property with a $500,000 mortgage. Your net equity is $500,000. Okay, so we set that number aside. You're getting rental income of $4,000 a month, and after you take out the cost of the mortgage, taxes, insurance, property management, maintenance, maybe add in some vacancy in there. Let's say your net income is about $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year. You divide 24,000 into 500,000, right? And then you get your net cap rate, right? And so what you're looking at is that number, that percentage, okay with me, right? Because most times when I talk to investors, especially in Hawaii or states where rental income is not as great as the appreciation, like California, places like that, a lot of times, if they're positive at all, that's a great investment. All right, they're making 1%, 2%, or even 3%. That's a great investment.
Yeah.
In many cases, especially in Hawaii, investors are negative month to month. Like I have an investment property, depending on the year and how much maintenance going into it and how much vacancy I have, I'm negative. Yet I'm okay with that because I'm expecting the appreciation to surpass that. Yet here's the interesting thing, right? If a client came to me as for financial planning or retirement planning and said, Kyle, can you invest my money and give me an income stream of negative 2%? People would think I'm crazy, right? Or even a positive 1%, right? That's crazy. Yet in real estate, that's okay because of the appreciation. So when we look at, does it make sense to hold this asset, or should I sell it and replace it with an investment that has a better return, right? And I can get great appreciation and a much better return, maybe at 3, 4, 5%. Then you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And that's what you've done for me personally twice.
Yes.
So the DST.
You want to share your story, Adrian?
Yeah, the DST that I started with was, I think it was back in 2020. I had sold a condo and my credit wasn't so great because I'd just gone through a divorce, and I thought I was just going to have to like sell it and take the tax hit because I couldn't get a loan to do a 1031 exchange. And I met Kyle's wife at a PSI seminar, and we were auditing together, and she told me that my husband can help you. And I didn't think anyone could help me, at this point. But, hey, I remained open-minded. And sure enough, after talking to Kyle, I didn't have a lot of time to do this, but he got right into action and was able to assist me. And we went into a self-storage facility that was, I think, across 4 different states. And in the beginning, it was like a 5% cap rate was what I was getting. And now I think we're up to like 8.2% cap rate and a 30% appreciation. So like it's been a wonderful investment. I don't have to make any repairs. I don't have to worry about any kind of vacancies or hurricanes, because the property that I sold was in Florida. So it was like, they had all these worries with the extreme weather that can happen. But yeah, it was a great experience. So much so that, Tilio and I, when we had a chance to do it again, we did it once again with Kyle and his team.
A couple months ago.
It kind of reminds me of like you said earlier, like, are people coming to you and say, hey, Kyle, I want to invest some money. I want to lose money every month, and I want to have a lot of headaches. Do you have any investments like that? Oh, yeah, that's called the rental property.
How my job would be so easy if that was the bar.
Yeah, but the reality is that, in the beginning, people are building their wealth, right? They don't have the money, so you go leverage. Real estate is a great way to leverage building wealth, because the most impactful statement I heard was from a professional investor, and it really hit me, and I've been doing it for a long time. If you're going to buy $500,000 worth of Google stock, you have to have $500,000. If you're going to buy $500,000 worth of real estate, you can get away with 10, 20, 30% down. And then
or even zero down.
Yeah, if you VA.
Yep, and or even USDA, you intend to live in the home for at least 1 year, and then you move out and make it an investment property.
Yep, move out, keep the property,
So a
move
lot of
on to
different
the next
ways
one.
to get into ownership. Yep.
I think that as we get older, and I know for me the hot button is that I want to, and talk about this. What are the benefits of having a DST portfolio versus real estate as far as passing on to the kids? Because for me, the things you're about to share right now are the reasons why I want to convert my real estate into DSTs to pass on to my children. And what are those benefits for succession planning?
Yeah. So I mean, just to clarify is well, first of all, another great reason that people get into real estate and own real estate is because of the step up in cost basis upon death. It's one of the best wealth building tools and best wealth transfer tools because of that step up in cost basis. And how that works and what that is let's say you bought a property back in the 50s or 60s, right? Everyone's got the auntie or grandma that bought a
Yeah.
property a long time ago for $50,000, and then now it's worth $1 million, right? That difference between the cost basis and the sales price today is the capital gains. So if someone were to sell that while they're alive, they have to pay taxes on those gains. And if you add up the federal and state taxes, Medicare surtax, and depreciation recapture, the tax rate might be as high as 30, almost 40%. So
Wow.
you sell for $1 million, you take out your cost basis of 50,000, you have $950,000 of gain. You're looking at, what is that? Close to $400,000
Yeah.
in taxes, right? Depending on how long you've had it. And so it's better if you can either hold on to that property or 1031 exchange into other properties as many times throughout your lifetime. When you pass away and you leave physical property to a beneficiary, like your children, grandchildren, they get a step up in basis. So what that means is the cost basis that was 50,000 when you're alive, when you're gone, gets stepped up to the value upon your death. So let's say it's $1 million. So now the new cost basis is 1 million. Your beneficiaries can now sell that property and pay no capital gains tax.
Nice.
As long as they sell it for $1 million, anything above $1 million will have the capital
Taxes
gains
on that.
taxes.
Yeah.
And we have a name. We have a name for this strategy, Kyle. What is?
So some people call it swap till you drop. So you're swapping
Yeah.
properties till you pass away. They also might call it defer until you die. So you defer your taxes, then you die, and then your beneficiaries get to step up. So it's
Yeah.
a great wealth transfer tool.
Yeah. So let's talk about and then break it down for people again. The 1031. The 1031. What does that mean? What is that?
So under the tax law and section 1031, it allows investors to swap properties from one to another and defer their capital gains tax. And so and the rule states that as long as you're replacing with like kind property, you're going from investment to investment. Okay. So a lot of people think, well, my condo is my investment property. I need to replace it with a like kind condo, right?
Mhm.
Which is held for investment. And that is true. And it also means it can be any type of physical property that's held for investment purposes. So you could sell a condo, go into another condo, or a single family home, or a piece of land, or water rights, air rights, commercial property, or a DST or an UPREIT. All of those qualify as like kind, as long as you're not living there and it's held for investment purposes only.
Gotcha.
Now there's some timelines, some important timelines with these 1031 exchanges. How would you say that the DST can always be like a great insurance policy to make sure that you don't have a failed 1031 and end up with a big tax bill?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this 1031 exchange process, the biggest issue we're finding, especially right now because of low inventory, is that timeline. So if you list your property and you sell it on your close date, that's considered day one. You've got 45 days to identify your replacement property. So you have to have an address on a form. You can identify up to 3 properties under the 3 property rule. There's another rule called the 200% rule, which I won't get into. Yet for this conversation, you can identify up to 3 properties up until the 45th day. And then you have a total of 180 days from day one to close on one of those properties on that list. So with low inventory, people are very hesitant to even list a property and close because it's hard to find properties in 45 days, let alone find it and close it in 180. So with a DST, how it works is the DST sponsor, these real estate companies will buy up a large commercial real estate project, and it might be one property or it might be multiple properties, like in Adrian's case, multiple properties, multiple states, worth, let's say, $100 million, and then they'll open it up to investors. Minimum is 100,000, right? And money can go in at any time until they close the fund. So if someone lists their property, anytime in those 45 days, they can identify it. Anytime in the 180 days, we can move the money in, whether it's 100,000 or 10 million, right? We can wire the money in, 1031 exchange it, and they can avoid the capital gains tax. So if someone is thinking of listing a property, as Adrian mentioned, kind of like a insurance or backup, if you want to list that DST as property number 2 or 3,
Yep.
maybe you're looking
In
to
case
find
something happens, right?
case
Like,
something happens
especially
with
when you're doing
property.
your due diligence. Maybe you're doing the due diligence on that first property, and there's like just a lot more wrong with it. It's like, okay, do I want to take the tax hit, or do I want to just move into a DST, another type of property, and avoid that 30 to 40% tax hit on that gain? The other thing, Kyle, could you mention about how like the boot works or the leftovers? How some people will use it in that capacity.
Yeah, what is that? Leftovers.
The leftovers, the technical term is boot, right? So let's say you sell a $1 million property, and then you find a replacement for 900,000, right? So you have $100,000 left over. That's called the boot. So in most cases, what people would do in the past is they would just take that money and pay the taxes on it because, in Hawaii, especially, what are you going to find for $100,000? So in a case like this, if you're looking to maybe downsize, which does make sense in a lot of cases to downsize from $1 million investment property, because tax rates in Hawaii are higher on properties $1 million or more. So maybe you want to find a replacement under $1 million, right? Maybe 900,000 or less, and that leftover, that boot, you can put that small amount and become a fractional owner in this $100 million portfolio.
And that's the strategy that Attilio and I used. We did a 1031 exchange to a property that we flipped and then bought our office space, and we had some leftovers for the boot, and we put that into a DST.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a great thing to have instead of having to pay some extra taxes.
Yeah, we took equity out of the property, and that helped us buy an office. The other thing too, Adrian, on your $100,000, what are you getting per month?
Oh,
I'm
close to $800 a month.
$800 a month. Yeah. So
yeah, my $100,000 investment. That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Thanks, Kyle.
You're welcome. And that's not all results are like that. Yet yours is one of those. Yeah.
But she blew out both her knees going to the mailbox for passive income checks. So be cautious and careful when you running to the mailbox for your passive income checks. But on a serious note, that is the goal, folks. You want to invest in things that are going to generate passive income. Passive means you're not directly, none of your energy or is tied into generating that income, and then that gets you free from the day job, or creates a better lifestyle for you when you don't have the day job anymore and you just want to kind of retire.
So as we wrap this up, I just want to point out to our viewers that you can go to our website, teamlolly.com/DST, and sign up for a webinar, or you can get in touch with Kyle if you want to just do a one-on-one and have him dissect your particular situation and how that would look, going into a DST. So I think, I got a lot of value in understanding like my personal numbers and how, it would, affect me on the day to day, and like even you get the tax write-offs. So it's really, a great tool to know about.
Kyle, any questions we should ask or anything else you wanted to cover before we wrap it up?
No, I just want to reiterate. Yeah, it's good to analyze the numbers because a lot of people I talk to, they think their cap rate is much higher than it really
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Because they're doing the gross instead of the net, and then when they look at the gross, they're like, "Oh wow, that's really gross."
Yes.
Yeah. Or they're not taking into account the fact that they're managing it and the stress that's going
Yeah.
into it.
Mhm.
Maybe the future
Toilets, refrigerators,
Yeah.
tenants. I mean, we had one person like, "Oh, our friend told us they was dealing with the argument between the husband and wife as the tenants, and they're getting caught in the middle of that because they're for rent by owner." The drama with it. Okay, so friendly reminders for you sellers out there: we do provide $10,000 for upgrades out of pocket, no interest, no payments. You just get reimbursed at closing. So we'll pour up to 10K for property prep, and listen to us every Saturday on AM 830 KHVH to the Team Lally Real Estate Show, home of the Guaranteed Sold program.
And
And,
you'll hear Kyle there with his tips
Yeah.
of the week, as well as we are interviewing him for a longer session. So just tune in to hear Kyle
yeah.
and
So
us.
we want to get more and more listeners every Saturday, AM 830 KHVH at 10 a.m. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
There's no music.